There are cows near me, you understand. But what I'm saying is that Clive Davis has established an evil network with the web that surrounds him. Pete and Clive Davis, do they currently have any relationships outside of work? He enjoys the ability to manipulate and control others because most likely his mentor, who went to New York City and victimized him by living there for a year while I lived with Scene Puffy, victimized him. But you were 13. What did you mean you went there to see the lifestyle? I saw it and it was, but I'm not sure if I could indulge and comprehend what I was even looking at. In terms of success, influence, longevity, and the artists and executives he has mentored, Clive Davis is known as the ultimate record executive. To give just one example, in 1972, he told a young Bruce Springsteen that the debut album he had just submitted didn't have any songs that would get played on the radio. Dejected but determined, Springsteen wrote Spirit in the Night and Blinded by the Light that night, and thanks to Davis to this day, Springsteen has written these two songs. He spent much of the fourth decade as a rock in a stormy sea while a corporate battle tried and failed to best him with only his job titles and company names changing his business cards sprawled across what was formerly the Sony BMG Music Group, comprising those companies as well as RCA Records and his own J Records, until he was named Chief Creative Officer of Sony Music Entertainment in 2008. A role he continues to hold. It is due to this impeccable longevity that Diddy crossed paths with Davis, with a then young New Yorker picking up a few lessons from the legendary music executive. But while both executives may have produced some of the best songs to ever hit the radio, their reputations are not crystal clear, especially in regard to how they handled young artists in their respective record company. In 1993, Diddy, in partnership with Sony, would form Bad Boy Records, which quickly became one of the biggest record labels in the music industry, thanks to its incredible roster, including the likes of the notorious Big Danity Kane Total Cassie, and 112, to name a few. Back in the 90s, Bad Boy Records had dominated the charts with countless hits, which is just one of the ways Diddy has now become one of the richest music moguls in Hollywood. Yet despite all the success he had with the label, by the early zeros things had taken a shift, with many of its artists complaining about failing to see any royalties from their music sales. That, along with creative differences with Diddy, who's now worth $900 million, would slowly but surely see Bad Boy Records experience a speedy downfall when a dozen of its artists were ready to leave the company, even if it meant they would never see the same kind of success they had in their heyday. Allegedly Puffy, as others prefer to call him, learned from Clive Davis, one of the first Hollywood gatekeepers, how to frustrate new artists, the notorious Big, who would go on to sell more than 28 million albums in the United States alone, was signed by Diddy's record label, which undoubtedly changed the face of hip-hop. The father of six also enjoyed mainstream success with Craig Mack and Faith Evans, who released 3 albums under the Bad Boy brand before switching to Capitol for the release of her 4th album, The First Lady, in 2005. Although many artists who signed with the company later complained about not being paid for their work, it would appear Diddy, learning from his mentor Clive Davis, manipulated, extorted, and produced so many failed careers. He allegedly also groomed some of his YouTube stars. According to the Los Angeles Times, just 3 years after founding the company, Diddy had logged an incredible $75 million in album sales. Your past business practices have knowingly continued to purposefully starve your artist and been extremely unfair to the very same artist that helped you obtain that Icon Award on the iconic Bad Boy label, according to former Bad Boy recording artist Mace, who is also known as one of Diddy's closest friends from his heyday. He wrote, for example, "Your past business practices have continued to knowingly starve your artist and have been extremely unfair to the very same artist that helped you obtain that Icon Award on the iconic Bad Boy label." I understand where Mace is coming from because I'm in the same situation. But it's a contract we signed when we were teenagers. And legally he did nothing wrong, said former 112 singer Queeness Q Parker, after Mace's Instagram post went viral that he had also suffered severe consequences from an unfair contract signed at Bad Boy. The following month, Mace's debut album Harlem World sold over 4 million copies in the US and debuted at #1 on the charts. Although his 1999 follow-up Double Up, which peaked at #11, wasn't as successful, it nonetheless brought in RIAA certifications for sales of 2 million copies, which were nonetheless respectable statistics. Nevertheless, he released his third album, Welcome Back, in 2004, but it didn't meet the label's expectations and ended up being the rapper's final release before he decided to leave the music business for good. When Bad Boy's former artist Loon was detained in 2011 for drug trafficking conspiracy while out having fun in Brussels, there was even more controversy surrounding the band. Alternative titles for the type of naughty boy who would serve time Blackrock was imprisoned for breaking into a New York hotel. After serving almost a decade in prison for murder and being implicated in the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting that also claimed the lives of Drew Diddy and his ex-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, G. Depp was deported back to his native Belize. Since then, he has left the limelight and converted to Orthodox Judaism. Is this evidence sufficient to prove that Clive Davis deceived Diddy, even Usher, a former one-hit wonder? Or was Bad Boy also known for its long list of one-hit wonders, including Cassie Dirty Money, Young Jock Sim, Red Cafe, and others who have since left their contracts and pursued careers outside of music? Prodigy of Diddy claimed that as a young person, he once had a horrific encounter while visiting what was then known as Puffy Flavor. Usher was groomed to be an R&B celebrity from an early age. In a previous interview, he told radio presenter Howard Stern that after spending a year with Puff Daddy when he was 14, he finally understood what fame meant. I had the opportunity to observe some things. I went there to observe the way of life, and I did so. Usher once described his unusual education, dubbed Puffy Flavor, during his first Stern Show interview. In order to experience what it was like to truly make it big in music during the heyday of Bad Boy Records, a teenage Usher who had wowed music executive L.A. Reid with his musical prowess was flown to New York to live with Puffy. It was pretty wild and insane, and it led to the creation of Camp. Usher cited a number of the most well-known hip-hop figures who frequently visited Puffy's home, including Notorious Big. Kim Faith Evans, Lil Craig Mack, and Mary J. Blige. I resembled the little brother they were referring about. Boo, Baby Usher said, but Howard questioned whether he had been given any restrictions while residing with Puffy. After all, he was just a kid. And instead of being strict, he was allowing him to grow into a young man. When it came time to release Usher's first album, Puff Daddy served as his producer. But after the debut didn't perform as well commercially as anticipated, Puffy passed on being a part of Usher's second album, My Way, which went 6 times platinum in the late 1990s. Usher told Howard that while he wasn't in school, he did have a tutor and a per diem, though he claimed he was given just enough money to keep him out of trouble. Jamie Foxx, an actor and musician, is another well-known person who allegedly revealed Diddy's filthy tricks. Over the course of Diddy's more than 3 decades in the music industry, there have been accusations that he has hosted all-male parties. Some of these rumors stemmed from what Jamie Foxx allegedly claimed about Diddy. I followed him the entire time because I remember seeing Puff at the Beverly Hills Hotel film the news, and it's a pool party that is really ridiculous. Twitter users speculate that he may have groomed Usher. A previous TikTok video recording was released that featured interviews of rappers and singers speaking about Diddy's crazy, and reported all men parties in different interviews and questions about the rapper's heterosexuality. In light of Fox's recent health issues, the video opens with Jamie Foxx being interviewed and discussing Scene Puffy Combs' alleged secret parties that featured young men. One fan even posted the video alongside the question: was there an attempt on Jamie Foxx's life for speaking out against Diddy? Beyond Jamie Foxx, rappers like 50 Cent have also made fun of Diddy for the kinds of events he'd throw where there were only men and allegedly even younger men, as it was with Usher when he attended Flavor Camp. So it's possible that he treated the male singers on his roster improperly, just like Clive Davis has been accused of. One astute fan tweeted that Scene Diddy Combs was given his bad boy imprint by the Arista's Clive Davis. All that glitters is not gold, which suggests that the two music executives had an affair in the post the user authored, says to run your race and let the next man run his. When I get in my father's car, the first question he asks me is, when did you know Diddy as Clive Davis's lover? Given that information, do you believe Davis is at least partially responsible for Diddy's dubious behavior over the course of his career? If so, please let us know in the comments section below. Otherwise, we'll see you again soon.